Look, y'all, we just saw, well, not just saw, but over the weekend, of course, we saw that the Ravens lost to the Rams 17-3. So that means the Ravens could only put 3 points on the board, but on the bright side, only allowed 17, which is a far cry from the 40 that they have been allowing over the past couple weeks. And even when you think about week one with the Bills and that debacle. But look, y'all, we got to talk about this Ravens Rams matchup, how it played out, and what does it mean? Is there anything else that we can look into to think about? We got to talk about it. Look, I'm gonna hit the intro for y'all, and we're gonna come back. We're gonna talk about this game and see what's going on with these Baltimore Ravens. Let's talk. Listen, y'all, what's going on with y'all? It's the Be More Show. Look. Of course, the Ravens lost to the Rams 17-3, bringing them to 1-5 on the season. And you know, the old adage is you are what your record says you are. And the Ravens at times this year have definitely looked like a 1-5 team. You know, now we got the recency bias. I don't know if that's how you use it, but of having some injuries and some big injuries over the past 2 weeks that you can at least lean on a little bit. But even before that, there was a lot of injuries, the Ravens were not playing good football, specifically on the defensive side, and it got to a point where the offense couldn't bail out this defense but so much, and it makes you think, makes you want to take a different, another look and really have a conversation. But interestingly enough, right, the Ravens end up with 3 points in this game, but there were some drives in this game where it felt like the Ravens had some potential. You know, there was some drives in this game. Most of them ended in either an interception or a fumble, were the drives that were actually moving the ball down the field. And there was also another drive that ended in a failed fourth down conversion. I'll pull that play up real quick because I think this is the exact. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I think I have the exact play where this failed fourth down conversion ended up happening. It's only 3 seconds of it, but you guys will be able to see it, and you guys will know exactly what play I'm talking about. The run, trying to get that run game going with one Derrick Henry. So let's take a look at this real quick. So, and we'll see that these guys up here are a lot of the reason why, number one, the run game has not been able to get going. But also, these guys up here, this one in particular, is a big reason why neither the run game or the pass game can get going. Because we saw a lot of this from Daniel Faalele. Just completely falling down on the play. And I'm going to be honest with y'all. And look, I'm going to be honest with y'all. Have y'all ever seen anything like this? Have y'all ever seen an offensive lineman starting on a team consistently that just falls around like this? Like, maybe I don't watch the other teams close enough. I can be honest about that. Maybe I don't see these other teams close enough. But I don't get it, right? I don't get it. I don't understand how Daniel Faalele is falling over all over the place. Like, I don't get it. It was a couple plays in this game that was play. Like, it would be different if it wasn't a habit. It's a habit, y'all. This is a habit that we're seeing from Daniel Faalele. And obviously, it's affecting every piece of this offense and how they play. Right? It's affecting the run game. We talked about it before. Derrick Henry, it's felt like he really hasn't been able to really get it going. And I think a crucial piece of that is his offensive line. I'll be interested to see if anything happens throughout the bye for either some new starters on the offensive line. Because honestly, Noteboom, I thought he's played pretty decently. I honestly think he could probably play guard better than Daniel Faalele can right now. I mean, because I think you have to be a little. I've talked about this before, and I'm not an expert on this, but I feel like it could be true. I feel like you got to be a little more nimble to be a guard. And we talked about how stiff Faalele has been in the past, and now he's just falling over himself, which goes back to coordination. And I'm gonna be honest. Can I be honest? Like, I don't. And maybe I'm shifting blame here, But if I can be honest, right? If I can be honest with y'all, and I really want to be, I really want to be honest with y'all. If I can be honest with y'all, I think the reason that Rosengarten hasn't really been playing as well as he did last year has a lot to do with Daniel Faalele. I really do. Because we know that with our two guards, Faalele and Voorhees, it's a little bit up and down, right? Make sure I got it right. Yeah, it's a little bit up and down. Why Ben Cleveland hasn't seen the field yet, even though we've seen him at least be able to come in and be formidable, even if he's not great. He may not be a Pro Bowl guy, but it's kind of surprising why you wouldn't shift Corey Bullock into some of these situations. I don't know. But I feel like that's the biggest issue, y'all. Like, I know penalties are a problem, right? Turnovers are an even bigger problem. But this offensive line, I think, causes a lot of these issues, right? This offensive line causes a lot of this nervousness in this team. And I think that's a problem, right? I think that's a problem. And then defensively, look, I think defensively, you held Matt Stafford and this offense, the way it's been playing, to under 200 yards passing. And, only one touchdown from Matt Stafford, right? Like, to hold this team to 17, I would just say that's impressive for how the Rams have been playing, right? How the Rams offense has played and what this Rams offense is capable of. But I will say, still seems like similar to our offensive counterparts, it seems like this team has some big issues up front, right? We know that there's no Nnamdi Madubuike, right? That hurts. And realistically, there's no true pressure. There's no true pressure. And I didn't get to talk about this last week, but getting rid of maybe one of your best pass rushers, I don't know. I mean, that's not saying a lot. But getting rid of Odafe Owe and getting a safety in return, I just don't get it. Now, I felt like the guy we ended up getting, I can't pronounce his name off the top of my head, but I do feel like he played well. Like, I felt like he was around the ball a lot. It felt like he was in on a lot of the plays. But I just don't really understand why you got him. Then you got CJ Gardner-Johnson. You had CJ Gardner-Johnson say, "Hey, I'm done with this. I'm not doing this." Right? It just doesn't make sense. Like we talked about before, the identity of this team doesn't make sense. And the problems are glaring. We see all of us see the problems, right? All of us see them. All of us have seen them for a while. And all of us are definitely seeing them this season. So if we see the problems, we know they see the problems. So what's going on here, right? What's going on here? EDC supposed to be cooking, and I gave him a lot of credit earlier in this season. I'm not seeing any cooking right now. There's no other free agents you can bring in. There's no other trades you can make. I mean, and like I said, you traded Odafe Owe, a pass rusher, for a safety you didn't need. Why don't you trade for an interior lineman then, right? Since you got injuries there. If you're not going to trade him for another edge, right? I don't get it. Maybe he's cooking up something. It's possible. I'm not going to hold my breath, but we'll see. We'll see. Okay. We will see. But yeah, I feel like this team, they look like a 1-5 team right now, right? You got 3 points to show for it. Even the spark you got at the end of the game in the fourth quarter, you got nothing to show for it. I think it shows a lot. I think it shows a lot. And shout out to Yuri for posting this one. But I think it shows a lot. Okay. I'll try to pull this one up for y'all. Because if you look at this, got the wrong one up. This one right here. If you look at this, right, 17 points for the Rams, but there was a lot of missed execution, a lot of execution errors and missed calls that weren't truly reflecting Sunday's performance by the defense. Which, like I said, I don't want to give the defense too much credit because, even watching these couple of plays right here, like, You had a drop in the back of the end zone by Davante Adams, and Davante Adams could not catch the ball on this day, surprisingly. And we know Davante Adams is probably one of the better catchers of football in the league. A couple missed throw right there. Davante drops it again. Like it's interesting. Let me see that one. Same thing, drop. Right. And you got to take advantage of that. If you're the Ravens, you got to take advantage of that. And the Ravens didn't. You got a turnover from John Jenkins. I think that's his name, John Jenkins, right? Bull rushing straight up the middle, getting that early pressure, and you didn't take advantage of it. I think they got 3 points out of it, but I just don't think that's enough. I don't think that's enough, especially with how that drive was going. So, yeah, I think there are some issues, and I definitely want to look more into them, look more into the film. Hopefully, I can do that this week and just kind of see like what's going on. What's going on just from my naked eye. What's going on with this team? What is happening with this team? Watch a couple breakdowns as well to see what everybody else is saying too. See what some of our coach friends are seeing, and really try to diagnose what's going on and try to figure out if it is fixable, because is it fixable with personnel or is it fixable with a coaching change? Because I personally I don't think the personnel is that bad. I really don't. And like I said, call me naive, but I don't think the personnel is that bad. I think it's more so the scheme. I think it's schematically. I think it's lack of communication, right? I think that's the biggest thing. Lack of discipline, right? Honestly, it could be this like lack of effort, lack of being physical. I think that's a lot of the defense's problem right now. And we saw a little bit of improvement in this game, but also at the same time we saw some of the same issues that we've seen, and the Rams, like Yuri said, the Rams just couldn't capitalize on it. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what this team is able to do. Long story short, I feel like the Ravens, once again, and we talked about this before, we talked about uphill climbs, we talked about kind of what's going on with the Ravens. Why is it so much different than we expected it to be? And realistically, right, because you shored up your secondary over and over again, right? You shored up your receiver room over and over again, or at least try to. You got the same receivers that played well last year, right? You shored up your running back room. So it's got to be up front. It just has to be, right? You got a all-pro, middle linebacker, whether he's playing like that or not, he's still there, right? So like I said, I think not getting enough pressure on defense and not being able to minimize the amount of pressure that you're getting on offense has truly hurt this team. And I can't remember off the top of my head what it was, but I've seen a lot of people talking about, Lamar Jackson and his absence and what that's shown on this team, right? What that's shown on this team. And it's shown, number one, that there's no more bailouts for the Ravens until Lamar Jackson comes back, which hopefully he'll come back after the bye. There's no more bailouts. There's no more bailouts for this offensive line, as highly rated as they may be by the pundits. There's no more bailouts for this offensive line. And that's the thing. And can we, can I say something? Well, don't get mad at me, but can I say something? If you saw it with a backup QB, that probably means, especially because you're 1-5, that probably means these issues are bigger than we think they are, right? Because typically in the past, we've seen the Ravens change things up schematically, be able to throw, kind of go into the quick game a little bit, lean on the run game a little bit, and really show, some more wrinkles that weren't just, hey, Lamar, go make this play. And if this organization is not seeing the problems that are going on right now with this team based off of the last 2 weeks alone, and of course the rest of the season, but the last 2 weeks alone, then they really need to take a serious look in the mirror. And that might be Steve Bisciotti look in the mirror saying, hey, like, we need to do something different, because, For as much as Steve Bisciotti is probably happy that he has this generational talent and probably happy that this team is making him money, you make more money the more you win. Because the more you win, the more fans you have. And the more fans you have, the more interest you draw. Right? So that's a part of it too. He's got to be thinking, I'm kind of capping out a little bit here. Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I'm wrong. Right? Maybe the Ravens are more lucrative than they ever been. But at some point, you have to feel like as an owner that you're capping out by not being able to get to that next level. You may not be necessarily a football mind, and that's fine, but there still has to be in your head at some point, something's up right now. Something's up, and we got to fix it. We got to fix it. But look, y'all, I'm gonna work with y'all. We're gonna work together and figure out what in the world is going on with these Ravens right now. Why are they 1-5, and how in the next stretch of games can they go 5-1, maybe 6-0? Okay, yeah, I think we need 6-0 at this point, not even 5-1. But how can they go 5-1 just to flip the script? Right? We'll see what we can do. Like I said, I think the schedule is favorable. We'll talk more about it. We'll break it down. Hopefully, I have Rabbit on because I know, of course, we got the Bears coming up after the weekend, after the bye, which I guess is technically after the weekend also. But it'll be very interesting to see if any changes are made, because I know we like our guys. I get that. I know we like our guys, but us liking our guys hasn't helped before. Us liking our guys had James Prochet and Devin Duvernay lined up for Lamar Jackson in hopes that somebody will get open. So something has to change, right? You can't, like we talked about this before. This organization is insane. You can't keep doing the same things and expecting different results. That's not how it works. That's simply not how it works, right? Now, if you're doing the same thing and you're seeing progression, that's different. But you doing the same thing year after year, season after season, you seeing regression. So we got to figure out what maybe we'll role play a little bit and say, hey, what do we got to do? What we got to do as some of these guys in the front office, as some of these guys with the headsets on, what do we have to do to fix this team? And shout out to Sip the Tally, because I think this was his title, but are the Ravens fixable, right? Is the defense fixable, right? We gotta have those conversations. We gotta have those conversations, and sometimes they can be a little bit fun to be had, right? Where it's unfortunate where the team is going, but there's always room for improvement. So we'll see what they can do during this next stretch of the season. But look, y'all, I definitely appreciate y'all for coming by. As always, this has been the Be More Show, and this has been another recap of the loss that the Ravens had. I hope to not say that for a long, long time, because like we said before, this loss was eerily similar to some playoff losses we've seen in the past. Eerily similar. You're moving the ball down the field, turnover, right? Unforced error, penalties. We'll see, y'all. Look, y'all, I'll see you guys in the next episode of the Be More Show. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and make sure to hit the like button as well. And we'll see you guys on the next episode of the Be More Show. Until next time, my friends.